Martin Luther said that the Bible is the cradle, the angel of Jesus. That he is in there all the time. And that we, as we read Scripture through a lens of Jesus and his compassion, it changes everything. So maybe that's what we need to start doing. What I'd like to share this morning is actually a 100-year anniversary. The story is going to be called Seeking New Possibilities, and it's from a magazine called Spill the Beans. This is not mine in totality. I cheated. It's about the first anniversary of Christmas during World War I, taking place in 1914. So in this dark and desolate landscape of World War I, something really strange took place. In the devastation of the first months of war on the Western Front, where fierce fighting was taking place, and soldiers were digging in and coming to terms with the fact that the fight was not going to be over soon, an unofficial and temporary truce took place. Records suggest heavy fighting was experienced in places on Christmas Eve and that there were many, many casualties. But late in the day, British infantrymen were surprised to see Christmas trees, branches with lights, appearing on the other side of no man's land, and accompanied by the sound of German voices singing. British soldiers sang their own carols on Christmas Day, and many attended Christmas services behind lines. Now we sort of get into the now period of these few days after, so truce wasn't just for one day. Over the next few days, according to personal letters dating from that time, the truce continued with some gatherings between the lines. Right? Can you imagine that? This space where these men at that time were shooting at each other, they put down their rifles and they went into the space where nobody was, and they met each other. They shared cigarettes. They gave each other souvenirs. So the Germans actually gave the British something of their own that they would have a souvenir of when they went home. That's a little weird, but that's what they did. The dead were buried at that time. A game of football may have actually taken place. We know it is soccer, but that may have taken place in that weird, desolate zone. That such a truce was experienced in the midst of carnage in those early months of war as fear and hatred grew in every soldier on both sides is surely evidence of the way the Christmas story and its promise has the power to change the perspective and to reveal to people a different way of living and being. 100 years ago, the Christmas spirit was evident as it influenced soldiers on the Western Front in Europe. That same spirit was evident, too, as it intervened in the hearts of these wise people who experienced something amazing when they gazed upon the infant Jesus and changed their perspective as well. The wise people sought out the miracle of Jesus' birth. They followed a route that led them to Herod. And then the story describes how they continued on the route following the star all the way to Bethlehem. The story doesn't say what the mindset was of these travelers as they left Herod. But there's a good chance that they also planned to return on the same route, right? These were not people on motorcycles that take different routes to get home. They go the same way, right? Go on 94 to get there, and you take 94 home. They were supposed to come back and tell Herod all about what they saw. They changed from wise people to informants. But it's not what happened. The story goes on with the description of an amazing encounter in a lowly stable or house where gifts were exchanged. Lavish and extravagant gifts given to a baby. But we might say that the most priceless gift of all was given in the other direction. Somehow what these people experienced through a new glow and warmth and spirit in their hearts, because the story does make clear that they were changed, and their perspective was changed, and they returned by a different route. Their plans were totally changed. They had received something that moved them inside and turned them from potential informants into dreamers. Dreamers of new possibilities, that God would do great things with this child. For many of the soldiers on the Western Front, the Christian and Christmas spirit sparked a different perspective for a while. It gave fuel to human spirit that even in the depths of war, compassion could be true. The same spirit was active in the experiences and dreaming of a group of wise people who returned from their encounter as changed folk. Physically, they took a different route. And the word for route actually meant different or alternative. And that kept them away from Herod's palace. Perhaps more importantly for us, though, is that spiritually they took a different road home as well. The return journey was one that started with transformed faith. They developed sort of a new sense of possibilities of God after experiencing His glory at the first hand of this miracle of Christmas. You've seen babies, newly born, right? There is something amazing, right? You want to hold them, especially after they're cleaned up, right? Because there's a baby smell, right? It's really there. I think that Jesus smelled even better. I think that as they may have gone into this place, there was an amazing gift of scent and smell. And odds are they had a meal there, and I bet you it was great. Imagine that. Imagine, I mean, this is kind of cool right now, actually. Imagine the sun shining in on a baby. On a place where we experience Jesus. Because, you know, the text talks about a glow. And I can't really explain how somebody can glow. Well, I could, but they didn't have those things then. But some light coming in with shadows all around the other places, that's cool. That would make you amazed. That could transform a baby who was sleeping to open his eyes and squint a little bit. And then maybe, luckily, give us a little smile. That return journey that these wise people took totally transformed who they are. And you know, sometimes we experience this. It's the Christmas season, like from not necessarily the beginning of Advent, but somewhere in Advent things start to change for us. And on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, and I would venture to say even this weekend, and then it sort of tapers. People experience Christ in a new, spectacular way. I mean, we're kind of lucky in many ways to be here and looking at people and watching eyes. I talk about this all the time. I don't talk about it, actually, I write about it. And watching eyes get red and full of tears. Not necessarily crying, because that's hard to see from up here, but we can see the glimmer in eyes. And it's not off of glasses. Something happens at this Christmas time when we remember Jesus' birth. Somehow we experience glory and a miracle. So as we move into a new year, and as we follow this star to a place that is totally unexpected, as we imagine new possibilities, we may have to take a different road. We may have to find ways around things that are not totally healthy for us. Sort of what Zion does. We see what's not healthy, and we go around it. Because we know the damage that unhealth can do. It may take a really long way, as the wise people understood that the road may be different, but the road is the way of Jesus. I'm convinced the road is the way of Jesus. And the Jesus way is not easy. Never has been, never will be. But in the same breath, I can say that the Jesus way is not easy, but it's also not hard. Because Jesus, the gift, promises to be with us, and his star will direct us. And God has placed a means of direction to find in community and faith. So may we each, individually and as a community, experience the promise that the wise people did. The gift given by a baby, a new glow and warmth and spirit in our hearts that help us to follow the path of Jesus. As the soldiers made a united community for at least some time, as the wise people made community together, may we have community. And together, this faith community can make a difference. This community, small as a baby, can make a difference. Great blessings. Great, great, great blessings.